there. I sent all it was a handful of 4x6s and a handwritten letter to Terry Magnum TA. I just said, I'm ready. I'm in Puerto Rico right now. I'm probably was 26, ready to go. Blah, 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 blah. Call me a week later. He said, like, imagine getting that phone call. Tom, it's Terry Allen, Magnum TA. How you doing? Because now it's a dream. Like you're dreaming. Your goal is WWF, WCW. I mean, you've been there. You've been on the same road as me. So I left in September of '93 and started with WCW. And because they said, they called me, they said, yeah, we saw your, you saw your promotion. And at that time, I had probably a dozen guys. I dropped their names on my resume that I wrestled. Mick Foley. Now, Scotty Levy, he was there. He was there as, he was Scotty the Body, or whatever.
Scotty Flamingo.
Yeah, well, no, that was WWF.
That was Johnny Polo in WWF. Scotty Flamingo.
That was WF too.
Scotty Flamingo.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Johnny
yeah,
Polo.
So he was there.
They hired you without seeing you work? Or did you have to go for a tryout?
No, just the videos. Just the videos.
Oh, you said the tape. Okay.
I said I had a music video they made in Puerto Rico. The guys put the work, they vouched for me. Whatever the matches, and they just said, they go, we need a tag team partner for Tom Zink. You guys, we asked around, the guys all couldn't talk good enough about you. Need a partner for Tom Zink. You come in, you're going to be a tag team with Tom Zink. And then everything worked good. Like, right away, a couple like Dallas Page was my first singles match. Then it was Dallas Page and Kevin Nash. They were an undercard tag team. Vinny Vegas, and they were there to do jobs, and we were, it was great. I love the time there. You get to the point where then you start seeing reality in wrestling. They're holding you back. They only want you to get so high. So now we're dealing with my first taste of nepotism. Dustin Rhodes, Eric Watts, they had their guys. And that's when you guys are a great team and you're great to put the other teams over. So we still won, 60%, but then you have like Shanghai Pierce and you have Tex Slazenger and those guys. And then you get to the point, and Zink was just a heat getter. Because remember, he was there a long time. He had heat with everybody. Great guy. Everybody loved him, but his mouth, like it always got back to the top brass. It got back to they knew him. I mean, he was, rest in peace, love the guy, but he was a heat machine just because he was bitter. And I was going there so excited. I finally got my big break. And they put me with a guy that just absolutely bitter, just nonstop. He would go on these rants about everybody, just running them down, Dusty and Dusty's kid, Watts's kid. And then he had his guys, he had his targets, and it just kept us kept us where we stayed, which was good enough for a while. Then they split us up, and then you start doing jobs, and that was time. You know what I mean? But it was great to get the job, because what it got me was, it got me in WWF, because Jim Ross and JJ Dillon were there. When they left, they did all the hiring in WWF. So they were grabbing all the guys that they hired in WCW. So that's how I got in WWF.
I'll tell you this. I was at Halloween Havoc that year in 1992. It was you, Tom Zink, the talent you opposed, and Shane Douglas versus Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, and Michael Hayes. Talk to me about that. The three most over heels.
And Mike, the thing is crazy. That was at the peak of ECW. They were, thank God I was new, because they destroyed Shane and Tom and Zink. Oh my God.
It was in Philly.
I remember it like it was last night. Philly.
It was in Philly. Yeah.
These guys, you talk about two baby faces, they couldn't have destroyed anymore. The signs are right in front of us. Zink destroyed them. And you think about it, Arn Anderson couldn't be any more over as a heel. Michael Hayes couldn't be any more over as a heel. Bobby Eaton never had to say 2 words. Couldn't be any more over as a heel, right? Against us. I'm like, thanks. Thanks a lot. I got the fall on Michael Hayes, and they couldn't have booed any louder. And we're laughing. We're like, this is hilarious. Just because it was a snake's den. It was. What are you going to do? I mean, ECW was at its peak, and all the faces were dead meat. Dead meat. They destroyed all the faces. You had to be a heel like Austin to get over as a face with that type of crowd. They were venomous. They were brutal. Never forget. Never forget. And the thing, I didn't even care about that so much that night, just because I was all excited to be there. It was when you were doing the indies, and that crowd, like that cancer, just made its way into like the independent. Like you work for Dennis Carluzzo, and you had guys. All you heard were all the boos. Like you're a baby face getting destroyed. That's what I'll never. That's the part of the business I always hated.
Talk to me about working with Austin before he was Stone Cold.
Oh no, always great, always great. We did a couple tag matches. Like Pillman was another guy. Rest in peace. Half the guys I'm going to mention are all dead. He was another guy. Small man syndrome. Small man syndrome. He didn't want to sell. He wanted to chop you, but he would like wither away if you want to chop him. And you know me, I'm coming with the big chop. You're going to get it. I don't give a shit. I didn't care. In other words, you can't take that. You're going to go cry to management like I chopped you with this big hand, right? Smack. And Austin, great. Like they're the kind you just want to go. You want to go. Like I was with Shane Douglas last month, and we were there at the time. It was him and Steamboat when they were doing those 1 hour time limit matches. Austin coming every night. You talk about special. You talk about, special as special gets. But no, Austin was great. Always, he never changed. He was always a guy same guy, whether he had the hair on his head or he shaved his head. Whether he was, Steve Austin in WCW or Stone Cold in WWE, he was always just one of those fun-loving guys you just want to have a beer with. Great guy, great talent, great worker, great everything. Pillman was great too, but like I said, he just didn't want to sell the bigger guys or whatever because of his, again, small man syndrome.
Any guys there you didn't like working with?
In WCW?
Yeah.
Nobody comes to mind. Like there were guys, like one guy I like, but it was funny, like Buddy Lee Parker, right? Here's a guy that loved the guy, greatest guy, nicest guy. You get in the ring with you. First thing is slaps me across the side of my head, pops my eardrum. I'm like, are you serious? Whether it's smoking the weed or whatever. I'm like, dude, you're not in wrestling school. I've been wrestling longer than you. First opening, whatever, he slapped me as hard as you can across my ear, pop my eardrum. But other than that, I mean, I'm just finding stuff. Other than that, everything was great. You're at the big time. You know who's there.
Right.
I mean, again, Eric Watts. I can't get mad at a kid because he was green. He never should have been there. Big kid, clumsy kid, no talent. I'm not taking shots at him. He was there because of his dad. We all know why he was there. And he shouldn't have been there yet. He should have been a year of learning, training somewhere. Then you come in. We all been there. I don't care. His last name was Watts. He didn't have any special talent. They said he was a big, clumsy kid. You got to find your niche. Maybe make him a heel. I don't know. I mean, again, it was what it was. I mean, Dustin, same thing. Great talent. He was there because of his dad. The kids that are protected. They're protected for an obvious reason. Dustin, big kid, good talent. Sting, phenomenal. Like Vader, believable. Like he's one of the most believable heels you'll ever see in your life. From 30 years ago to 30 years from now. Believable. And you know what? I wrestled Vader probably 6 times. Is he going to lay it in? Yes. Did he ever hurt me? No. Because he laid it in where you're supposed to lay it in. And if he's in the corner and he's batting he's batting your head against the turnbuckle, whatever. But it's coming. So you either protect. And again, it was stuff that he never hurt me. I want him to lay it in. Like we have a match. Somebody sent me on, it was on YouTube. And I kind of forgot how good it was. And I don't say that about many, but it was me and Zank and him and Orndorff. Unbelievable. He let me dive on him on the floor. And I've only done a handful of dives in my career, especially like on TV. You don't want to screw up. I watched that match and I actually marked out. And I never watch. Like, I'm sure you're the same way. Like, you watch matches like, that sucked, that sucked, that sucked. Very few that you're going to be like so happy with. There, it was like I forgot about the match. And the fact how Orndorff and Vader put us over. And they got everything in, everything we called in the back, everything. They got everything in. They didn't just, you know how you have a guy and they'll say, yeah, we'll do it. And they just don't do it, which is going to happen 90% of the time. Every possible thing that we tried, we called, we did everything. They talk about putting us over, huge. And that was a TV match. That was like, Saturday night's main event, 15-minute live, you're live. There's no cutting away. There's no like editing of the tape. So Vader, but the guys were great. Like, again, Buddy Lee Parker, great guy. Wrestled him other times. He's snug because that's how he trained, which is, I want to be snug. Lay it in, but just lay it in, not to hurt the person. You know how you were trained, right? I want to be, I consider myself like a thicker person. Lay it in. I'm never going to ever come back to the locker room and say, you punch me in the mouth, we have a problem. If it's by accident, it's not a problem. But if you're clumsy and you're lame, like we've all wrestled those guys that didn't know better because they were green. I can't even get mad at those guys because they didn't know better. You know what? Again, I could count on probably less than one hand. After 37 years, I could probably count on one hand. And that's pretty good.